Hi, kids. So I have been collecting my thoughts about the whole Bible story. And I told you that I was going to do a little segment on kind of just a summary of what my thoughts about the book are. So here they are. Here are my thoughts, which, I have a hard time trying to put everything into words and not having like drastic pauses because my brain doesn't think that fast, but we shall get through this together. So, here's my thoughts. Well, I've never read through the whole Bible, obviously. I learned a lot of things, and I know that there's a lot more things to learn too, because that was just like a brief overview, a glimpse into the Bible. Um, but what I do know, even without reading all of that, is God is real. God is real. There is no way you can refute that. Um, I told you about healing in one of my stories. Um, and I will tell you another story about God's presence. So it's true that we probably often don't. Maybe I should start with it's true that people sometimes question if God is real for various reasons of like I can't see him, I can't feel him, I can't hear him. But I disagree because you can. So let me give you an example. You know how somebody comes up behind you sometimes and you know somebody's there? You don't have to turn around. And like when you do turn around, you're not surprised that somebody's there, like because you feel their presence, right? Same thing. You can feel God's presence. And I will tell you of one certain circumstance when I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God was there behind me, with me, was when I was burying my son, something a mother should never have to do. Something that just drove me into a deep abyss of sorrow and mourning. However, I needed a lot of strength that day for various reasons, which I won't get into. I needed a lot of strength that day. And I remember clear as day, which I have a horrible memory, and so this just goes to show how how it stood out in my mind. Clear as day, as I was sitting there at the cemetery watching his tiny, tiny little casket. And I remember just the sun shining on me. And just as much as anybody would be standing behind me, I knew that God was there. I could feel God there. There was no doubt in my mind that God was with me that day because without God, I don't think I could have gotten through that or the subsequent days that followed or the subsequent years that followed when I was just drowning in sorrow. God was with me. And I'll go on to tell you a little story about grief because I think I spent probably about 6 years that I could measure in just horrible, horrible grief. And I know that Nanny is such a prayer warrior that I know that she prayed for me probably relentlessly through that time because there's just not much you can do for your kids when you watch them suffer other than just pray for them. But I do remember clear as day. Um, just like a switch was flipped. One day I just decided that I wasn't sad anymore. And I still miss him. I still miss him to this day. I wonder what my life would have been like with him in it. And I know that I will see him again one day. But I think that that switch being flipped could not have happened without God. That I mean, there are some things you can't explain in this world, and the only explanation for them is God. So from that day forward, I like came out of a fog. I came out of that deep abyss of grief, and I started living my life again. And we were wonderfully blessed with another sweet little baby that that just really enriched our lives and healed us. So um, then I want to talk about miracles because miracles happen every day. Miracles happen all the time, and maybe we just don't realize that they're miracles. Um, but I also know without a shadow of a doubt that I have a friend um, who was diagnosed with three different kinds of cancer all at the same time, and her prognosis was horrible. Like it wasn't it wasn't if she was going to get cured, or it wasn't any of that. It was like she was going to die, and her three babies were going to be without a mama. Um, and I can't remember how many years it's been, but let me tell you, this lady is a warrior. Um, and I know that she is living um, every day. She thanks God. She's such a example to live by, and I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that she has had a miracle, because there is no explanation how she could be alive this day unless God healed her. Yes, she does cancer treatments still. Yes, she'll be doing them for the rest of her life, but there is no explanation on this earth how her body survived it. There's not. Um, and then I want to talk about one more thing that I've seen in my life was um, when Grandpa died, and Grandma had to drive, you know, back home after losing him, which was like a 6 hour drive or something like that. And we met her at her house afterwards, and he had been in the hospital for, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, long time. And he had gone downhill for years and years and years. She had taken care of him for years and years and years. So Grandma should have been exhausted, and rightfully so. But I remember when we met her that night after Grandpa died, she was absolutely radiant. No other word about it. It was like light reflected off of her. She was probably the most beautiful I have ever seen her look, and she's a beautiful lady. She was radiant. And for me, I knew that that was because she was surrounded by God's grace. That was probably the only way she could make that drive home through her sorrow and suffering by herself. And just looking at her, she was radiant. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. That's the word that comes to mind. And so I say all of this just to give you examples of God still shows himself now. You might not see people being raised from the dead. You might not see people that were lepers being healed. You might not see people that were paralyzed getting up and walking. But there are miracles every day. It's a miracle I came out of the grief. It's a miracle we had another baby that just healed something broken. Um, and that wasn't ever our intention on getting pregnant, to heal something, but it happened that way, and that was because of God. um, there are miracles every day. You have to look for them. And and just like if you oh, I don't know, there's a saying, and I don't remember what the saying is exactly, but if like if you're looking for the number 7 or whatever, then you're going to see it. Same thing. If you're looking for miracles, you're going to notice them, and you're going to know that those things happen every day, all the time, because God is still here. He's with us all the time. He sends his angels to protect us. And there are prayer warriors, and I truly believe Nanny is one of them, that I think she's got a direct line to God, because whatever that woman prays for, he makes it happen. And so she's a very good example to live by, one that we can all aspire to be. Um, but I just want to leave you with those thoughts. That is what I know. I am ignorant in many, many things. Obviously, one of them is the Bible, because I can't pronounce half of the stuff in there. But there's only one way to fix that, right? And it's learning. So I will follow that up by telling you that I have decided to, for the next project that we do, to dive into the book of Enoch. Now, this isn't a traditionally recognized book of the Bible. Um, but they're, and I think that it is kind of controversial, and I think that it'll be enlightening to read. And so I invite you to join me on that journey and we can discover it together. So that is all for me today. And until next time, I will see you then.